On October 15, 2025, Ukraine received a new proposal from the United States, which aimed at ending the ongoing war with Russia. The proposal suggested that Ukraine might need to cede some of the territories currently under Russian control, including the contested Donbas region, as part of a broader peace agreement. This proposal was put forward as the military situation on the front lines grew more challenging for Ukraine, with the Russian military continuing to advance, especially in eastern Ukraine. With the onset of winter, the battles in the Donbas region, a vital part of Ukraine's territory, became even more intense. This region, which has been at the center of the conflict since 2014, is now facing the prospect of further escalation as both sides continue to vie for control of this crucial territory. The Donbas is a region in eastern Ukraine made up of two administrative regions, Donetsk and Luhansk. The region covers approximately 9% of Ukraine's total territory and is roughly the size of Switzerland. The Donbas has been an area of strategic importance for both Ukraine and Russia, and it has been the site of some of the war's most significant and brutal fighting. The region was home to over 6 million people before the war began, though the population has since been significantly reduced due to the ongoing conflict and the displacement of residents. The Donbas has seen years of political and military instability, with pro-Russian separatists declaring independence in 2014, backed by Russian military support. Since then, Russia has claimed full control over the region, despite not having full military occupation of it. In the face of this ongoing conflict, US President Donald Trump suggested on October 19, 2025, that Ukraine agree to freeze the current front lines, including the Donbas region. In a statement to reporters, Trump said,
"What do you think should happen with the Donbas region?"
Let it be cut the way it is. It's cut up right now.
At the time of this statement, 78% of the Donbas was under Russian control. The suggestion from the US president was viewed as an attempt to stabilize the situation and bring the war to an end, but it was met with resistance from Ukraine. Ukrainian officials have consistently rejected the idea of ceding any territory to Russia, viewing the Donbas as vital to their national security and sovereignty. Despite the mounting pressure from international stakeholders, including the United States, Ukraine has refused to cede the Donbas. This position is in line with Ukraine's national interests, as the region is not only important militarily but also economically. The Ukrainian government has repeatedly emphasized that giving up the Donbas would encourage further Russian aggression and set a dangerous precedent. The war in the Donbas has been a central point of contention between the two nations for nearly a decade, and Ukraine's refusal to yield any territory underscores the region's importance. So many people have already died for this damn Donbas, and giving it up would be extremely unjust, said an unnamed Ukrainian soldier in an interview on February 23, 2025. His words reflect the sentiment of many Ukrainians who view the Donbas as a symbolic and strategic part of their country that cannot be abandoned. The Ukrainian government, led by President Volodymyr Zelensky, has repeatedly stated that the Donbas will remain part of Ukraine. Zelensky has also made it clear that Ukraine's constitution prohibits the cession of any territory, including the Donbas.
Russia is still unsuccessful in Donetsk region. Putin has been unable to take it for 12 years. And the constitution of Ukraine makes it impossible to give up territory or trade land.
Zelensky said during a press briefing in Brussels on August 17, 2025. His statement reflects Ukraine's firm stance against any peace deal that would involve territorial concessions. For Ukraine, the Donbas is not just a piece of land. It is a key part of its national identity and its future security. Abandoning the region would not only weaken Ukraine's territorial integrity, but also its ability to defend itself against further Russian incursions. Since the beginning of the war in 2022, the Donbas has been the site of some of the heaviest fighting. Despite the overwhelming military superiority of Russian forces, Ukrainian troops have managed to hold key cities and strategic locations in the region. The Donbas has been the focal point of some of the war's bloodiest battles, including the battles for Mariupol, Bakhmut, and Avdiivka. These cities have become symbols of Ukraine's resistance, with Ukrainian soldiers fighting to hold on to them in the face of relentless Russian attacks. On the other hand, Russia has made significant progress in the Donbas, particularly in the Donetsk region, where it has managed to capture a large portion of the territory. As of October 31st, 2025, Russian forces controlled 81% of Donetsk and almost all of Luhansk, according to the American Institute for the Study of War. However, despite this territorial gain, the war in the Donbas remains far from over. Ukraine continues to control key cities in the region, including Kramatorsk and Sloviansk. These cities have become key defensive strongholds for Ukrainian forces, and their defense is crucial to maintaining Ukrainian control over the Donbas. The front lines are now only 20 kilometers from Kramatorsk, and Ukrainian authorities have ordered the evacuation of civilians from the area due to the intensifying fighting. Many residents have been forced to leave their homes as Russian forces move closer to these critical cities. Svetlana Sergeyevna Kushchenko, a resident of Druzhkivka near Kramatorsk, explained her decision to evacuate. "I decided to leave because our city is bombed very often. I am sick, I am old. So fear finally pushed me to leave." Her words reflect the difficult choices many civilians in the Donbas face as they try to escape the violence that has engulfed the region. The Donbas region is not only important for its strategic location, but also for its economic resources. Historically, the region has been the industrial heartland of Ukraine, home to vast coal reserves and a robust industrial base. However, its economic importance has grown even further due to the presence of valuable mineral resources, including lithium, uranium, and titanium. The region also holds vast deposits of rare earth elements, which are critical for the production of advanced technologies, including those used in electronics, renewable energy, and defense systems. According to Ukrainian Deputy Prime Minister Yulia Sviridenko,
володіємо інформацією, що, на жаль, на території, яка тимчасово окупована, цих корисних критичних матеріалів знаходиться на суму.
These valuable resources make the Donbas even more significant in the eyes of both Russia and Ukraine, as control of these resources could provide a substantial economic advantage. In addition to its economic importance, the Donbas has become one of the most heavily defended regions in Ukraine. Since 2014, Ukraine has constructed a fortified defensive belt in the area with several fortress cities, trenches and minefields designed to slow the advance of Russian forces. This fortified defense has made the Donbas a key battleground, with both sides pouring significant resources into securing their positions. Abandoning the region would leave Ukraine highly vulnerable to further Russian advances, according to Ukrainian officials. The fortified belt in the Donbas is one of the strongest defensive lines in Ukraine, and its loss would significantly weaken Ukraine's ability to defend its sovereignty. Ukrainian soldier Vitaly, speaking in an interview on August 19, 2025, warned of the dangers of conceding territory to Russia. "If we cede territory to Russia now in 6 months or a year, they will gather more forces and advance further into Ukraine. These barbarians will not stop until they are stopped by force." His statement underscores the belief among many Ukrainian military personnel that Russia's territorial ambitions extend beyond the Donbas and that ceding territory would only encourage further aggression. In recent weeks, the focus of fighting in the Donbas has shifted to Prokovsk, a strategic town in the Donetsk region. Ukrainian President Zelensky reported on November 3, 2025, that approximately 30% of all combat operations on the front line take place in the Prokovsk region. Moreover, 50% of all KAB bombs are specifically aimed at Prokovsk. The town has become a focal point for Russian forces, and its capture would provide Moscow with a critical logistical hub, allowing Russian forces to further consolidate their control over the Donbas and advance further into Ukraine. The fall of Pokrovsk would mark a significant turning point in the war, as it would give Russia a springboard to push westward and northward into the heart of Ukraine. The situation in the Donbas remains tense, with both sides preparing for further confrontations. The Ukrainian military has strengthened its defences in the region, and the civilian population continues to bear the brunt of the conflict. Despite the ongoing devastation, Ukraine remains determined to hold on to the Donbas, refusing to cede any territory to Russia. The region's significance, both strategically and economically, ensures that it will remain a central battleground in the war, with no resolution in sight as the fighting intensifies. In summary, the Donbas region remains at the heart of the ongoing war between Ukraine and Russia, with both sides entrenched in the region and neither willing to yield. The conflict in the Donbas is far from over. The strategic, economic and symbolic importance of the region ensures that it will continue to play a critical role in the trajectory of the war. The situation remains fluid, with ongoing battles for key cities and towns in the region, and the future of the Donbas still uncertain.
Загинув за цей клятий Донбас, і просто так його вітати, це було б максимально неправильно.
Leader that we like. I will be speaking. The javelins are devastating.
What do you think should happen with the Donbas region?
Let it be cut the way it is. It's cut up right now.
Тепло выключить. Солдаты вот.
Новая власть сразу вспомнила про закон и использует его в одностороннем...
Знали, в каких невыносимых условиях постоянных обстрелов, блокады, долгих 8 лет жил Донбасс.
Russia is still unsuccessful in Donetsk region. Putin has been unable to take it for 12 years. And the constitution of Ukraine makes it impossible to give up territory or trade land.
Все хорошо будет. Все, не плачь. Выехать, потому что наш уже город очень часто обстреливается. Я человек больной, я пожилой. Вот, и поэтому страх заставил меня все-таки решиться выехать.
Володіємо інформацією, що, на жаль, на території, яка тимчасово окупована, цих корисних критичних матеріалів знаходиться на суму порядку $350 мільярдів. Ми розуміємо, що
Якщо віддати території зараз Росії, це через півроку, через рік вони накопичать сили і вони підуть далі на всю територію України. Так що ці варвари, вони не зупиняться, поки їх не зупинити силою.
Несете службу на такому важливому. Десь 6-30% від всіх бойових дій на фронті відбуваються в Покровську. Причому застосування кабів, 50% від всіх застосування кабів йде на Покровськ. Тобто ви розумієте, як наше непросто.
Двигаюсь строго по маршруту. Здесь максимально быстро идти.